Well, good day to everyone. There's lots of little projects going on in the shop today on the old Saab 900. We'll give a quick update what's going on in December. I haven't really posted many videos, and so I figured I'd do a little update of what's going on, so that the 4 people that watch our videos can sort of have an update that we are actually working on cars and stuff like that. You can see that the turbo elbow and the outlet flange for the turbo has been taken off. For the purposes of I drew this in CAD so that I could have this CNC water jetted out. I can't. This is a Mitsubishi TE05 turbo, and you can't find this flange anywhere online. It's really similar to like a T28, and it's similar to a few flanges, but it's not exactly the same. So basically, I had to draw this and send it in and have it made custom because I can't find it anywhere on the internet. So I just quickly Sharpied that surface black so that I could quickly and more easily draw it up in a vector program. Because I mean, how can you expect to make power when you're using this horrific little elbow? This is the stock elbow. So that's obviously going to go once I get this 1/2-inch stainless flange cut out. I'll put that to a 3-inch V-band so that the real power can come out of there, because like I said, you can't be expected to make proper power when your turbo's trying to push air through this little tiny 2-inch elbow. So we got other than that, there's not really much going on in the engine bay. You can see obviously the battery relocation's all done, and that's pretty much all I'm going to mess with the exhaust for now. I did actually buy a welder on Black Friday, so once I get that flange, I'm going to build the 3-inch V-band to go there, and then I'm going to probably just do a whole new exhaust from scratch in stainless steel. So more to come on that. I don't really know 100% yet what's going on, but a few little things in the works. The battery relocation stuff is all sort of wrapped up and done. You can see the junction point there. And I'll quickly open the trunk to show sort of what the end result is. All right, so we got the trunk. Obviously nothing too special there. Opening up the tray, we can see the battery box is all finished and done and installed. Both leads are attached. That ground lead obviously just goes underneath there by the carpet to a thick metal spot. The brackets that I used to mount it to the actual trunk were some extruded aluminum. They're like a 4040 series brackets. Those are the ones that are used on like T-slot, aluminum T-slot. So they came in like extremely handy. I tapped one end. You can see I tapped that end, and then I just through bolted that end with a nut and a bolt. Let's go underneath, see what that looks like. I think it looks pretty good. It doesn't really hang down very much. I mean, it's really only like, let's go down here. It's really only like just about the length of my thumb. So it doesn't really stick down very far at all. So I don't really foresee that being an issue ever. Actually, the gas tank sits down at least 3 inches lower than that. So yeah, I'm not really concerned about that at all. Overall, really happy with how this has turned out. All right, moving on. What else we have going on here? We have a plan of action. This is the stock air filter lid. Let's quickly have a look here. You can see that how the stock system is all set up. So that's the air filter lid, and then the mass airflow sensor on these is, I think it's about just a little under 2.5 inches. Let's call it 2.5 inch. And to this, all those really small, probably 2.25 inch pipe going into the turbo. I don't really think that's too much of a restriction. Stock, I mean, the air intake on this thing is pretty big. The horn on that's big. It's got like a 3-inch going into the air box. But nevertheless, I have a really good inclination that MAF is going to get maxed really quickly with the plans I have. So we're going to mitigate that, and I had a plan for that. So I have a 3-inch MAF from a Saab 9000 2.3, and we can see that obviously is never going to fit on that box. So I actually found just the perfect plastic plumbing fitting to get me there. So I should be able to actually cut that off the lid, put that in the lid, and that's gonna work just perfectly with a ID/OD reducer. So yeah, as goofy as that sounds, it actually is gonna work like pretty much mint, and you won't be able to really tell that I dicked around with it. So that's kind of cool, because I plan on probably doing LH 2.4.2. If you know Saabs, you know LH 2.4.2 is the newer version of 2.4, and it has a potentiometer instead of a throttle switch. And it uses that 3-inch MAF I showed you. So I don't really necessarily have to upgrade that, but I figure I might as well go to the newest version of LH if I'm going to decide to use it. So that's the plan for that. We'll see about how the execution plays out. And then over here we can see we have a Saab engine upside down on the ground here. This is the old engine that came from my 85, which I had for years. This is a fully balanced and blueprinted built engine. You can see all the work that's been done. You can see the bottoms of the connecting rods being ground to balance the weights, and you can even see the pistons. They're all being balanced by the pads being ground off there. You can see this engine is basically brand new. When I pulled this engine out of the 85, it really only had like say 3 months of use. So this thing has basically been sitting on this cart for like 3 or more years, which is a real shame. Like, there's so much work gone into this engine that it's really sad. It has a if you watched any of my previous videos, it's got a custom ported 1985 head with a 2.1 liter intake manifold with the big fat runners on it. Again, it's balanced and blueprinted. This thing was a real awesome engine. Also, yeah, the compression ratio is 9.75 to 1. So it's one hell of a motor. So, and then you also note that I have a B234, which is the Saab 2.3 engine sitting on the ground. So there's more story to come on that, but for now, long and short of it is I needed a crankshaft. So I think what I'm going to do, basically right away, is I want to keep this car driving. I don't really want to have this car not driving for a long, extended period of time. So I might as well use that brand new engine that I have. So I think I'm going to put that engine, I just actually flipped it upside down because this has been open to the outside elements for 4 years. I just wanted to double check that everything was okay. And also I was using a really, really hard clutch in this. And because of that, the end float on the crank was really, really, like, there was a lot. So I actually took this opportunity. I pulled the center cap off and I replaced the thrust washers. You can see the old thrust washers are here with a fair bit of scarring on there from that clutch. So we replaced the thrust washers, and now the end float is perfect on there. So everything is going to be basically brand new. So yeah, we're gonna, I think, throw this engine into the car so that I can basically use that high performance engine while I build the cool engine. And the cool engine obviously has to do with that crankshaft that came from that B234. Not gonna really go into the details of that, really, just keep it simple and just say there's a project planned and I want to use this block instead of that block for no other reason other than that block has a lot more miles overall, so the bores in here will be nicer to use. Anyways, so there is a bunch of stuff planned, just gotta get to it. And what else is planned? Oh yes, as far as intercooling this beast is going to be concerned, I'm actually researching the possibility of just doing an air-to-water setup on here. So I think I can get just a perfect sized air-to-water cooler to fit in the factory spot, and then use a couple of, because the Saab has those big open areas below the headlights on each side, and just put a couple of exchangers out front. So more to come on that as well. But without going into too much detail, anything, that's sort of the plans in the short term. Anyways, Bye for now.